I'm just curious. Is it me, or do you sometimes look at a photo like, that you've seen going around and you think, is this person intentionally taking a bad photo? Are they really not trying to tell the story or anything? Well, maybe they don't understand why it's a bad photo or why they're not getting their point across. Well, if you find yourself, or if this person finds themselves with 2 or more of these points about maybe why you're ruining a photo, well, maybe you should rethink some things, learn some things, go back to the basics, and hopefully improve. So, are you ruining your photo, or are they? One of the biggest things you notice is people are worrying about low light performance in their camera than actually finding an appealing subject or an appealing story. My quick thing is, don't stress over low light performance. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, you can get it in a lower body, but instead actually worry about learning light. That's part of the definition of photography, is light painting. So actually learn how to mess with light, what to do with light, some create shadows, kind of what's going on here. You really have to start making your subject interesting and just not hoping to get something. Any DSLR, no matter the cost, $300, $400, $4,000, can produce a properly exposed image. Well, you can. Just use 3-point lighting, start to understand that stuff, and just stop thinking that low light performance and all your camera settings is going to save the image. You're the only one that can make your image. You're the only one that can save it. So just do it and learn your equipment. One of the most important things you're going to have to learn is the human eye, and I'm sure it works all the time. You see it in selective color and everything, different rant. But the human eye will go to anything very bright, very saturated, very colorful, shiny, etc. So if your main image, your main subject isn't supposed to be the focal point, the shiny thing in the image, maybe like a lens flare you added in, then take it out. A lot of people put these bright things, these huge color saturated things, when that's not even intended in the image. So if you're trying to get a story across, you're trying to get something across, well then maybe try to put something else in there. Not necessarily the shiny lens flare or anything that you're trying to make the subject look interesting. If the subject is interesting, it'll be interesting. Try not to add anything else to it. People, it looks like, are afraid to shoot, midday towards the magic hour, or bright, or very late at night, when actually those are the best times to shoot. Why? Because the sun isn't the highest in the sky like at noon. A lot of people think it's fantastic to go shoot at noon. Actually, it sucks. You don't want to shoot at noon, as I said, because the light is the harshest, it's the strongest, it's the brightest. It's not that good. If you can get a huge 24 by 24 diffusing screen, which costs a lot of money, that's a different story. You could soften the light. Or you can actually think of a different way, but a lot of people are afraid to use flash. You can say stand under a tree or anything in a shaded area. You get a great rim light, but then you have to start building in flash. That's why a lot of people get intimidated. So if you're not, understanding flash or off-camera flash or anything like that, don't really shoot necessarily at noon. Wait till the sun gets lower and everything gets softer. The magic hour looks beautiful. So don't necessarily just sleep in or go to bed real early. Go out, experiment, have some fun with that. Shooting against a cluttered background. Now, as you see, for an example, this background is a little distracting. Yes, I would agree. But is it part of the image? Do I want to include what my photography, my passion, my camera's in here? Yes, because it's part of me, it's part of the story I want to tell. Not necessarily for this video, but are you shooting against a distracting background without even thinking about it? Are you trying to take a portrait outside, but there's kids playing soccer in the background, or cars, when yet again, if you maybe just step to the side, you can see the lighting in a new way, and you can say, there's only trees back there. If you understand how to use compression, depth of field, how to get bokeh, and everything like that, you can compress your background. You can make it look like some, crunchy crack butter, and it will look perfect, and the background isn't distracting. Now, why would you use, a background in your image if it's part of a journalistic feel? If you're, say, at an event or a rally or anything like that, and you want to get massive crowds or anything in that photo in the background, so you can tell a story. But if it's not part of the story, take it out. Always think background, background, background. Is that necessary? Is that car necessary? If it is, keep it. If not, get rid of it. One of the biggest ones also is knowing what to not include in your image. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I have to include everything in this image, which kind of ties to the past point. But the difference between, you know, an advanced photographer and someone just starting out is knowing, as I said, what not to include in the image. So think of composition, think of frame, think of your story. So if you know something shouldn't belong, then don't. Put it this way. If you have your subject and you have them, you know, you think, well, get a little closer. And then get a little closer. Now, why do I say that? The closer you get to a subject, the more you actually relate to it. And the same goes for videography as well, not just photography. So if you think you have your subject and, you know, you think you got everything out, just get a little closer, get a little tighter. We can relate more and there's less distraction in the frame. Boom, you got your subject. Boom, shotgun approach. A ton of, you know, new photographers are coming in thinking, oh, let me just go outside, let me go shoot. I don't know what focal length I'm at. Let me just grab this light here. I don't even know why it's there. And let me just grab a subject. Hey, just stand there. Take a step back, relax. This is the point of, instead of taking a shot, you make a shot. And that's the point of photography. A lot of people know that, but a lot of people do not. So make a shot, plan, prepare. You know, before I went on a couple shoots before, I actually storyboarded. If you don't know what storyboarding is, it's basically pre-planning your shots. And you write them down. You can just draw stick figures if you want. So it could be like, you know, I want a medium shot of this person, etc. So you don't necessarily always have to think on your feet. It's great, you know, that's how you get creative. But you can pre-plan where you want to go location-wise, what you want your model to wear, what to look like. Prepare, plan, and preparate yourself. I think I just made a word there. But relax. And the biggest one, photography is a 2D medium in a 3D world. Basically, whatever image you take, it's going to be flat. I mean, it only looks like this. It's only one way. You know, you can add photo effects to it, you know, Photoshop effects to it, but that's not the point. The whole point is to making your 2D object, so me standing like this, but making it look 3D, and already it is because of, you know, I turn my head this way, there's more of a shadow coming down. You're adding depth, or the way you pose a model, or the way you tell your image, depth of field. It really ties into, you know, planning and everything like that. It really includes everything: angles, shadows, perspective, composition. You know, throw all those around and you can really make your 2D image look 3D. You know, it's tough, but once you learn, you can do it. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye, hopefully giving you some ways to improve, you know, mistakes or anything that you think has been ruining your image. Posting your photos is great to find out how you can improve. Unless there's some people out there who you shouldn't listen to. I'm sure we have all made mistakes, and I'm sure everyone has made at least one on this mistake, even from when they started out. And maybe you're still doing one now as more advanced, more professional realm. Just hopefully they're less. So if you can add any more, let me know down below. I'd be highly interested in seeing what else you guys can add. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye, you know, make less mistakes. Go out there, have fun, and practice.